of this video, you will completely understand why it's so important to have a unilateral exercise within your program. So when performing a squat, a lot of people these days have difficulties on one side rather than the other side, simply because they're not having one exercise within their program that focuses on single leg strength. Because remember, at the end of the day, 1 + 1 = 2 does not equal fish. And for you to get to 2, you gotta be able to be strong on both ends. On top of that, a long time ago, I hurt myself, right? And it was tough coming back. But during that period of time, I really focused on having unilateral exercises within my program, which I didn't before because I was afraid to do them because I felt like I was looking stupid doing them. I felt like it was sissy. I felt like all types of things. But having a unilateral exercise that focuses on the leg development is one out of the 8 core movement patterns that we need to implement at least once a week when we're working out. But what does it actually take to focus on finding exercises that target one leg at a time? It doesn't take much. You don't need to have the fanciest equipment. Remember, at the end of the day, there are 9 ways to progressively get stronger week by week that you can implement within your training to target said muscle or whatever group that you're focusing on or whatever phase that you're focusing on. All right, so when it comes to unilateral exercises, the 9 ways that you can progressively challenge yourself week by week is 1, the intensity. How intense is each and every set, which is the most important one, of course. Each set should be intense. Second one is effective. How effective is the load? A lot of people tend to find weights that are comfortable for them instead of finding weights that are challenging by week. Say if I'm doing 10 pounds this week, I don't want to be aiming to do 10 pounds the next week. That defeats the whole purpose of getting stronger on both legs. Volume could come in different ways. Total tonnage. What is total tonnage? Total tonnage is when you're accumulating the amount of sets and reps and weight that you're doing per exercise. Say if you're doing a squat and you're doing about 10 pounds for 3 sets of 5, add that up and that's the total tonnage. Just beat that number next week. That's the way that you can measure volume. Frequency. How often are you doing that certain exercise in the given week? For example, a step up is extremely taxing. It's basically cardio. Have you ever done a step up and you're not felt gas? Doing a step up is extremely taxing. So if you're able to do a step up at least 2 times per week and then you increase the frequency to 3 times in that given week and you're able to recover and get stronger, then that's amazing. That's another way that you can measure progressively getting better. Effort, other known as time and attention. Time and attention is a great way to measure getting progressively strong. Negatives, you're measuring the seconds that you're performing the exercise, especially in the down range when it comes to squat. For example, 4 seconds down, pause for that a second, and then explode it up. That takes a lot of effort and takes a lot of time. Then if you're just banging out the reps as if you're walking, like that really taxes the type 2 muscle fibers, both the 1 and the 2. Range of motion, that's another way to progressively get stronger. A lot of people say, hey, listen, you're not supposed to do full range of motions because it's bad for your knees. Or they say, hey, listen, if you're not doing full range of motion, then it doesn't count. All range of motions count at the end of the day because they all contribute into joint health. They contribute into getting stronger in said movement. For example, say if I were to do a Bulgarian split squat, right? And I'm really focusing on a deep range of motion while adding a plate underneath my foot so that way I have more range of motion. That will contribute into my overall squat depth performance because I'm really focusing on said range. Another way to measure progressively getting stronger would be to measure your recovery time. A lot of people don't realize that, hey, listen, if I'm recovering faster for power, which is tend to be 3 to 5 minutes, say if I just did 4 or 5 and it used to take me 5 minutes to recover, but I recovered within 3 minutes, then I definitely did get stronger during my last lift. So that is extremely important to keep in mind when it comes to measuring for progressively getting stronger. Another one would be speed. Speed is power, and power is strength times speed, which is power. How fast do you complete the repetition compared to before. Say if it takes me a sprint, for example. Sprinting is a unilateral exercise. If I'm doing a 40-yard dash, and I'm completing a 40-yard dash in 10 seconds the first time, and then the next time I do it, I'm completing it within 5 seconds, then yes, I've gotten stronger, I've gotten better, and that's another marker to measure getting progressively stronger at any exercise. It tends to be my favorite is the body weight. As we gain weight or lose weight, certain exercises become more challenging, as it should be. Have you ever seen someone saying, oh, I'm too big to do a pull-up? Well, I'm 225 pounds right now, and I'm still able to do pull-up. I'm still able to bang 30 pull-ups on a good day during my first set. Maybe less than a second, third set, depending on the given rest periods that I'm giving myself. But being able to do the same given weight or do more or cut the time down is another marker to measure progressively stronger down the line. So if I were to want to implement some form of unilateral exercise today, and I've never done it before, this is exactly what I would do. Say it's leg day today, right? My first main movement, a goblet squat. A lot of people could do a goblet squat. If you can't, then hey, link below to a workout program that will help you get strong down the line. So first would be a goblet squat. That would be my main movement for the day. And I would aim for 5 to 8 repetitions. So I got the squat, the first core movement pattern, and then the second core movement pattern would be a hinge. I would do a cable RDL because you're less likely to cheat doing a cable RDL than doing a regular RDL. You can feel that more in your hamstrings. Did that with my boys the other day and they loved it. So I'll do a cable RDL. And then straight after, I would have my last exercise. By the way, the cable RDL, I would do about 10 to 12 repetitions on that. And for the last exercise, it would be a unilateral exercise. A lot of people can't do a transitional movement pattern. It really depends on the person. So I'll just stick with those 3 movement patterns: a squat, a hinge, and then I'll do a unilateral. The unilateral would be a reverse lunge because a reverse lunge is knee friendly. Yeah, you're targeting the glutes more, but if you shift your weight upwards, you would target your quads more. So when it comes to a goblet squat, you can't really see my feet, but you want it to be shoulder width apart. And you want to be upright with the weight in your hand. And then from there, you want to poke your hip out, have your knees externally rotated, not internally rotated, meaning that you want your knees outwards more. You want to be more in like your pinky toe. Think of it like that, right? And then you want to go down again. And then, well, I'm lower, more range of motion. So from here, we just stand up. Again, we're doing 5 of these and we're counting the weight that we're doing for the week. Like this week, we're doing 30. So say if we do 30 for 5, right? Or 8. Let's say we do 30 for 8. I lost count. That's probably like 8 right there. Going into the next week, we will do 35 for 8. And then we run that scheme like, okay, so first week we did 30, and next week we did 35, and then the next week we did 40, and then the next week we're doing 45. And straight off of that month, we jumped 10 pounds. And the total tonnage, again, total tonnage is the weight times the sets and the reps together. Like that's your total tonnage. That adds up, and before you know it, you basically lift like 1,000 pounds. All right, so for the cable RDL, I'm trying to be more respectful towards my community. So I'm not gonna do it at a cable machine. I'm just gonna do it with the dumbbells. So pretend this is a cable. You know, it's anchored low. You wanna step away from the cable and really have it somewhat pulling you. It's not working. I'm gonna stack the weight. All right. I was about to do a single leg cable RDL. Okay, so you just, whatever attachment works for you, right? So all you want to do is attach the long hip attachment. And all you're doing is leaning forward, having your glutes pushing out, right? Like say if you're closing a door, you're leaning forward and you're letting the resistance pull you forward. And then from here, again, you're not squatting. It's not supposed to look like this. All you're doing is popping the hip back. And then from here, all you're doing is fully extending the hip, straight up, and squeezing the glutes. And then, again, stick out, go as low as possible. Remember, if you feel discomfort here, then stop there. Here's perfectly fine. The goal is to get stronger at said range of motion. And then once you get stronger at that range of motion, next week, again, one of the rules of progressively getting stronger. You get stronger at that range of motion, and then you increase the range of motion bit by bit until you're able to do a full range of motion, or you're able to go up in weight. There's not one way that is proper when it comes to training. There's multiple ways of getting stronger and getting better. So when it comes to performing a reverse lunge, right, you want to be upright again if you really want to target the quads, aka your thighs. This is how it looks targeting your quads / thighs. So you're more upright, and then from here you're up, right? And then you alternate. That's more quad focus. Say if you want to target the glutes more, you would be more leaned forward, and that creates more of a stretch on your glutes than your thighs. Because the whole science behind it is the more forward your knee is, it creates more of a stretch on the four muscles that creates your thighs than if you were to lean forward, which creates more of a stretch on your glutes. So here are some additional things that I learned about. Just because you're not able to go up in weight that week doesn't mean that you gotten weaker in most cases. It could just mean that you slept wrong, your daily lifestyle affected the way that you perform at the gym. Like, there's so many factors that come to play at performance within the gym every single day. So don't beat yourself up on certain things. Really think logically. Say if you're a sanitation worker, right? There are some days that is extremely taxing than other days, and you might perform poorly at the gym because of that. It all depends on your physical activities throughout the day, what you're consuming every single day. Everyone's nutritional guidelines are completely different. For example, me personally, I cannot consume mayo because when I consume mayo, it gets me extremely sick. If I would have had a mayo sandwich in the morning and then I went to go work out and I was going up 5 pounds on my overall squat and I couldn't do it because I was feeling iffy and stuff like that. It's not because I've gotten weaker, it's because I had that mayo sandwich that I should have never had. So those are the things that you really have to keep in mind, as well as sleep. Sleep is extremely important. If you're not getting at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep every single day, and that's at least. If you really want to get the right amount of sleep, I would say 7 to 8 hours of sleep is fantastic. But let's just say 6 to 7. You're really missing out on the potential gains. You're missing out on so much more. And hydration too. Believe it or not, our bodies are mostly made of water. So for us not to consume water on a daily basis, you're really doing your body a disservice. So that's why it's so important to consume water. Let's start with like 50 ounces. 50 ounces is a good number, or 12 ounces per meal, after meal. That's literally just a bottle of water to consume. Protein too. You gotta focus on your protein because protein is the building block for muscle, as well as helping you maintain the muscle mass that you currently have, which is essential for developing power, developing strength, and endurance. So to sum everything up, really, unilateral exercises are literally one of the core 8 movement patterns that we should be able to do every single day and get stronger at, because 1 + 1 = 2. That's 1. Having at least one unilateral exercise within the leg day workout is vital, and having it towards the end is more beneficial than having it towards the beginning, because again, step up is extremely taxing, reverse lunge is extremely taxing, unless you're advanced. If you're advanced and do whatever hell you want, if you're getting better, to each your own. This is just tips that I would recommend anyone who is trying to get better overall on who's new in the gym. There's a whole bunch of different training methods out there that seems crazy but works. Like I'm one to do them too, you know. And I'm just saying a lot of people can't do those training methods. Stick to the basics, get really good at the basics. Once you get really good at the basics, you don't need to do 6 to 8 exercises on a leg day. If you just focus on hitting at least a squat, a hinge, and a unilateral movement, and maybe a transitional, depend how you feel about that, and that's more than enough. Right? And then once you like get really good at that, you can add more sets and reps for power, strength, and endurance. But then again, it depends on your fitness level. A lot of people, especially general public, they aren't really able to add that much onto their plate, especially if you have a family you have to take care of, you have an extremely taxing job, say if you do construction, say if you do sanitation, like all those stuff really do matter on a day-to-day. Now, if you find this video extremely helpful and you're looking forward to more content like this, please give me a like, give me a follow, and comment below what you want to see more. And on top of that, I have a free 6-week program as well as tips and tricks that touch base on a lot of the stuff that I talk in this video. Link in the bio.